He blackmailed me with some compromising photos. He asked me for an afternoon of love. I refused, but he forced me and I liked it. My name is Olivia. I am married and a mother of 2 children. My husband is a responsible and hardworking man, perhaps too hardworking to be able to meet the needs of our home. I would like him to spend more time with me, but in reality his duties prevent him from doing so. Monotony led me to have an innocent flirtation with a friend in search of excitement, without anything more than a lunch with handshakes and a few quick kisses having passed. He who seeks shall find, and I was no exception to this rule. At the restaurant my friend left first. We said goodbye with a light kiss and then I left. As I left, I heard a voice calling my name. It was a neighbor of mine who had tried to start a conversation with me on certain occasions without me giving it much importance. He was also leaving the restaurant and smiling, he said to me, "I have a business proposal to make." Showing me his phone, he said, "I will exchange my silence for an afternoon of love." I was speechless when I saw the photos, all compromising. "You're blackmailing me and that's a crime," I said. "It could be, but you don't have proof and I do. Let's not argue, take my card and call me tomorrow." I felt trapped. I spent the whole night thinking about that bastard, his image, his mocking laughter and his proposal. An afternoon of love. I thought desperately about what would become of my home if those photos reached my husband's hands, what would happen to my children, and a whirlwind of thoughts swirled around in my head. I came to the conclusion that I couldn't take any risks. Anyway, with a little soap and water everything went back to normal. The next morning I called the guy on the phone. When I heard his voice I quickly said, "You win, when do we see each other? Now we need to finalize the details. I don't want long faces or signs of dissatisfaction. We'll make love with 3 courses and try to enjoy it, or at least pretend to do so, with passionate kisses like any couple. You know you're forcing me, don't expect a honeymoon. And that thing about the 3 courses, I've never done it behind your back and I'm not going to do it. Just like I told you yesterday, let's not argue, take it or leave it. You have me tied hand and foot. When do we meet?" We agreed on a date and time. We would have to wait 3 days, during which his conditions hammered into my head, and I couldn't get his shamelessness out of my mind. Angry or not, the man was fixed in my mind and I saw myself mentally as if in a movie fulfilling his demands. When the time came, as I got into his car, he said to me, "From this moment on we are 2 lovers who are going to have some beautiful moments of pure love. Don't forget. If you don't comply, don't expect me to comply." I accepted with a nod. "Let the show begin," he said. "Hello love, I've been anxiously waiting for you." I saw him without answering and he continued talking while bringing his face closer to me. "And my kiss?" I understood his intentions and getting closer, I gave him a small kiss on the lips. "Since when do we kiss like this?" he said, bringing my body closer to his. He gave me a passionate kiss. Then he asked me, "Do you know how to behave now?" "Yes," I answered. "Then kiss me the same way I did or get out of my car." "You're in a bad mood again," I said, approaching him, and kissed him the same way he had kissed me. "See how easy it is. I don't think there's any need for further explanations." When we got to the motel, he opened the car door for me, offered me his hand to help me out, and holding hands we entered the room. When he closed the door, he hugged me and with sweet and gentle kisses he undid some of the buttons on my blouse, leaving my neck and part of my chest exposed so he could kiss me like no one had ever done before. I thought to myself, the play is good, I have no other choice but to play along. I began to respond, caressing his back, his chest, seeking his lips that responded to me as if there was a great love between us. I had already taken possession of my role. His caresses were expert. His hands ran over my body with a mixture of tenderness and passion that made me forget the reason for our date. I found myself trapped between desire and reality, between obligation and lust. The obsession I had felt during those days was transformed into a need to feel him, to possess him, to give myself completely to that experience. We approached the bed, and he whispered in my ear, "We'll start with something soft to warm us up." His kisses went down my neck to my shoulders, his hand sliding gently down my back. He gently guided me until I was lying down, and then he leaned over me, beginning to explore my body with controlled passion. His lips, his caresses, his whispers full of promises created an atmosphere of growing desire, letting us get carried away by the rhythm of shared pleasure. The moans mixed with our whispers, creating a symphony of desire that enveloped us completely. Responding to his caresses, I went down from his mouth, kissing his neck, his chest, destined to fulfill part of what he had demanded of me, with the difference that I did not feel demanded but rather desirous. Finally, the time came to fulfill the third and final part of his demand. With a mischievous smile, he said to me, "It's time to explore all the pleasures." Although I had initially rejected the idea, The intensity of the moment made me reconsider. Guided by his skill and my dedication, we explored this new territory together, discovering sensations I had never experienced before. With his experience and gentleness, he made me forget the idea of pain I had, exchanging it for the reality of pleasure and passion that he made me know. In the end, exhausted but satisfied, we let ourselves fall on the bed, still intertwined. Our breathing became calmer, and the heat of our bodies remained as a testimony to the intensity of our encounter. In that complicit silence, we knew that we had touched a deep part of our souls, a place that can only be reached through total surrender. We looked at each other with complicity and a knowing smile, knowing that this moment would remain engraved in our memory forever. But something else had been born in me, a kind of Stockholm syndrome. The obsession had turned into a confusing feeling, a mix of attraction and dependence that I couldn't ignore. Deep down, I knew that this relationship had the potential to move forward, to transform into something deeper and longer lasting. The show was over, but the story between us was just beginning. How wrong I was to think that with a little soap and water everything would go back to normal. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more stories.